Hi there. In this section we see Mikhail Tal against Birjanis in 1952, Riga. D4 from Tal. Yep, he's pretty diverse in his openings, D4 or E4. Actually, anything goes. So we see D4 in this game, D5, C4, E6, Knight C3, Knight F6, Knight F3, Bishop E7, Bishop G5, Knight E4, and Tal takes on E7, Queen takes, Queen C2, Knight takes C3, Queen takes C3. This position is a solid plus for White without too much controversy, and in fact, Tal fianchettos with G3, his bishop. So here we have D takes C4, Queen takes E5. Black's played pretty correctly and thematically so far, but goes off the rails now with Knight B6. Better would have been E4. So for example, Knight D2, Knight F6, White has a small edge, but nothing more. But with Knight B6, there is actually in this position a potentially killer soft spot. If we look at the squares, even the ones which are occupied, F8 is only protected by the king. Just bear that in mind. If we think of these as soft spots, it might help to understand the complications that come later. We see Queen C5, so Tal is already eyeing this diagonal. He's eyeing F8. We see Queen E6, so it's only the king protecting F8 here. B3, E takes D4. Now here, if E4, in case you're wondering, then there's the cute Knight G5, and the fianchetto bishop and the knight conspire against E4 to win that poor little pawn. So we have E takes D4, Knight takes D4, Queen H6, Rook FD1, and now Knight D7. You might wonder, well, why did Black block in this bishop? Why not get this bishop out? It turns out if Bishop G4, there is actually a strong move here for White. This is an unprotected piece. White can actually play. I wonder if you can spot the most accurate move here based on the bishop. Okay, it would actually be Queen B4 because we're kind of x-raying that unprotected piece and threatening Knight takes C6, and this would set Black problems anyway. This bishop does seem to be a right pain for Black in this game generally. If Rook 88, Knight takes C6 and taking on G4 with advantage, and if Bishop H3, then again, White's in a very pleasant position. This starts to look like a little bit like a game Reti against Alekhine with a magnificent Rook E3, except there isn't any Rook E3 in this version of events, and Black is potentially just crumbling without too much of a fuss on the queen side being undermined. So yeah, it's just undermining on the queen side pawns. It's just horrible here for Black. So okay, so Bishop G4 wouldn't really help matters, but as it goes with Knight D7, things take a very tactical turn. It's not that this is kind of looks silly that the bishop's blocked in by the knight, but actually there is also a kind of weakness of the last move with this move, as well as the whole diagonal, in particular a key square, has been compromised. So guess what Tal plays in this position, which increases White's advantage significantly. White's play here for 50 points. What would you play? Would you move the queen or would you do something else? Okay, there's actually Knight F5. So basically saying if you're going to take the queen, you're going to have structural damage as a penalty. This is just beautiful for White. So we have Queen F6, but now Knight E7 check, and you see that actually F8 is potentially an unprotected piece, potentially. But the queen is attacked here, and you might ask, by the way, can we, potentially exploit that? Not yet. The knight's holding the rook, and you might think, okay, if rook takes, but then bishop takes, then that rook holds that rook. It's Queen A3 and now Knight E5, and you might sense that there's a tactic here. I've really set you up for falling for this. Is there a tactic for White here or not in this position? Okay, 1,000 points if you can find Mikhail Tal's tactic. You might sense that f8 is an unprotected piece. What tactic would you use for 1,000 points? And you get minus 1,000 points if you play this incorrectly. So the stakes are high here. What would you play with white? Okay, Tal's move is knight d5. Now, if you had this hits the queen and hits the rook, and is very, very nice, you might have thought, hold on, Kingscrusher, what about my move, knight g6 check after knight e5? Yeah, it's got a snag. You're giving black an opportunity to play this, protecting the rook. Ouch. And also f2's under fire. So you've just basically blown the entire position with that move. So knight d5 is much more accurate. It's what Tal played. So we have queen d8. And now another accurate tactical move is played here to win material. So for 100 points here, what would you play with white? Yeah, a cute move, knight c7. It kind of hits that rook, hits the queen. The queen can't take because then queen takes. It's winning material. We have bishop d7, and Tal just mops up. He just takes, and here things are hanging on a thread. A little nudge move, 50 points. A little nudge move here, f4. Nudge the knight away from the bishop. So that's the end of that game. If the knight moves, rook takes d7, there's no backfire in sight at all. If we go back earlier, I did want to mention something about this position. If a5, yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, I showed you later, that knight g6, although tempting, is not the tactic, but there is actually a different alternate tactical threat here for white. What is the correct thing you would do in this situation for 50 points if this situation had arisen? Okay, so not knight g6, because then we're running into f takes. No, actually, the other issue is knight takes c8, and then rook takes d7. So yeah, there's a few tactical tests abound in this game. If rook e8 again, knight takes c8, and black's best would be rook takes e2 with queen takes f2 as a threat. But white just plays f3 here, and it turns out white can even do this. For example, this situation we can actually defend with rook g1. So all the variations are pretty nice for white in this game. If we rewind back to move 20, so white is really keeping an eye on that f8, but also this threat is of major significance as well. Just knight takes c8. But here, knight d5, golden move, golden. Wonderful move for knight c7, beautiful tactics. I think you've got to be awake for some of these tactics. It's really about the precise configurations on the board when we get into Tal's world of chess. It's not about long-term plans, particular configurations, particular issues, what's holding what, king soft spots, unprotected pieces. What can we double attack? What can we pin? Yeah, how can we overwhelm the opponent with threats that they can't handle with a single move? So this is overwhelming, hitting the queen, hitting the rook, keeping an eye on the rook. The queen's so well placed as well positionally on dark square, away from the bishop. So it's like a counterpart bishop plus rook, but it's like a counterpart bishop. Yeah, so black is kind of vulnerable in principle. On the back row generally, with the pieces being disconnected, leads to unprotected pieces anyway, in general. Okay, so a neat little tactical game. I hope there's some tactical pointers there to be aware of. Thanks very much. Hi there. Thanks for getting to the end of the YouTube video. If you would like to see other Mikhail Tal games, I actually have an amazing course for Mikhail Tal, which is currently at 4.9 with over 400 students. You can check this out from the Kingscrusher TV page. So Chess Strategy and Tactics, Mikhail Tal's amazing games. You can check out some free preview videos as well here. If you do expand all sections, you can see the preview links to get some free previews. So I hope you do check out this course index and the free previews. So I really had a thrilling time actually checking out Mikhail Tal's games. So yeah, the YouTube video here you saw was just a sample from this course. I hope you check it out. Okay, thanks so much. Oh, by the way, comments, questions, likes, shares, all appreciated. And if you did get to this part of the video, please do leave some sort of comment like Tal fan. Okay, thanks again.